Chief Survey Officer Pelnak Dorn nearly choked on his nutrient paste when the confirmation readings flashed across his screen. He blinked all four of his eyes in rapid succession, certain there must be some malfunction in the ship's sensors. "Computer, run diagnostic and rescan Planet XJ-2275, he commanded, his voice cracking slightly. A diagnostic complete. All systems functioning at optimal parameters, the ship's AI responded in its infuriatingly calm tone. The scan confirms previous results. Technological civilization detected on Planet XJ-2275. Pelnak's tentacles trembled as he pulled up the planetary classification database. There it was, clear as stellar day, Planet XJ-2275, designated as a Class 15 Deathworld. The rating wasn't even close to the borderline, it was the highest classification in the entire galactic index. Nothing should be able to survive there, let alone build cities. This is impossible, he muttered, quickly initiating an emergency transmission to Galactic Council headquarters. The gravity alone would crush most sentient species, not to mention the atmospheric toxins, extreme temperature variations, astronomical radiation levels, and by the void, the indigenous predators are nightmare fuel. 3 rotations later, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was in complete chaos. Representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations shouted over each other, their translators struggling to keep up with the cacophony of panicked exclamations. Order. I demand order. High Counselor Vasmir pounded his ceremonial staff against the chamber floor, the thunderous boom finally silencing the assembly. Let us approach this situation with the dignity befitting the Galactic Council. Survey Officer Pelnak's hologram floated in the center of the chamber, his tendrils still visibly quivering. Are you absolutely certain of your findings, Officer Dorn? Vasmir asked, unable to fully mask the tremor in his own voice. Yes. High Counselor. I've confirmed it through 7 different scanning methods. There is a thriving civilization of bipedal organisms on XJ-2275. They call themselves humans and their planet Earth. And they appear to be completely unaware that they're living on what should be an utterly uninhabitable death trap. Ambassador Lyri of the Javorian Confederacy fainted on the spot, her color-shifting skin turning a pale white before she collapsed. 3 other council members began loudly reciting prayers to their respective deities. What kind of monsters could these creatures be? Whispered Counselor Tekla of the Phlox dynasty, her feathered crest standing fully erect in fear. Vasmir stared thoughtfully at the holographic image of Earth rotating slowly above them all, a seemingly innocent blue-green sphere that harbored what might be the most terrifying species the galaxy had ever encountered. We need more information, he declared finally. Prepare a first contact mission immediately. And may whatever gods exist have mercy on the poor souls we send to that hellscape. I refuse. This is tantamount to a death sentence. Admiral Quillax slammed his scaled fist on the briefing table, causing several holographic displays to flicker. You cannot seriously expect me to lead a mission to a Class 15 Deathworld. Director Marvis of Diplomatic Affairs sighed, rubbing the bioluminescent patch between his eyes that glowed brighter with his mounting stress. Admiral, you've handled first contact with 17 different species. Your experience is unparalleled. Plus, Marvis added with a grimace, your exoskeleton gives you a slight survival advantage in high-gravity environments. A slight advantage? Slight? Quillax barked a humorless laugh. Earth's gravity would still compress my organs to pudding, just perhaps a bit slower than yours. The room fell silent as High Counselor Vasmir entered, followed by a team of scientists carrying what appeared to be modified environmental suits. Your concerns are noted, Admiral, Vasmir said coolly, and addressed. Our engineers have developed specialized protection systems for this mission. Behold the XJ-15 survival suit. The lead engineer, a spindly Zoraxian named Tella, stepped forward. These suits are the most advanced protective technology ever created. Triple reinforced exoframes to counter the crushing gravity. Atmospheric filters capable of neutralizing over 7,000 known toxins. Temperature regulation systems that can withstand volcanic eruptions. And, and, she paused dramatically, experimental phase shift shields against predator attacks. Quillax's antennae drooped skeptically. And you've tested these how exactly? Computer simulations, Tella admitted with a nervous click of her mandibles. The briefing room's main screen activated, displaying a horrifying montage of Earth's conditions. Massive oceanic storms with waves taller than buildings. Forests burning from seasonal fires. Creatures with razor teeth devouring one another. Microscopic images of the countless pathogens floating in Earth's atmosphere. Violent geological activity, showing mountains literally being born from the planet's unstable crust. The diplomatic team will consist of 7 members, Director Marvis continued, pointedly ignoring Quillax's growing horror. You, Admiral, will lead. Science Officer Larka will study their biology. Cultural anthropologist Neva will assess their social structures. Security Chief Bruxon and 2 guards will provide protection. And communications specialist Tippik will handle translations. I stress if we actually make contact with these humans, what exactly do we say? Quillax asked, congratulations on surviving the unsurvivable? Please don't come visit our much more reasonable worlds? Vasmir's expression remained grave. We need to understand them, Admiral. If these creatures can thrive in such conditions, what might they be capable of in more hospitable environments? The potential threat to galactic security cannot be overstated. Or, Quillax muttered, they might be the most resilient allies we could hope for. Marvis slid a data crystal across the table. Your ship leaves in 12 cycles. This contains everything we know about Earth. Study it. Prepare your team. And Admiral, he added grimly, we've updated your life insurance policy. How thoughtful, Quillax replied dryly. I'm sure my remains will appreciate that. Atmospheric entry in 30 seconds. All personnel secure for maximum turbulence, announced the ship's AI with what Admiral Quillax could have sworn was a morbid tone. The diplomatic vessel shuddered violently as it pierced Earth's outer atmosphere. Inside their environmental suits, the 7-member team braced themselves against their safety harnesses. Science Officer Larka was muttering equations to herself, a nervous habit that today seemed entirely appropriate. Oxygen levels reaching 21%, nitrogen at 78%. Various toxic gases and particulates everywhere, reported Tippik, the communications specialist. By the great void, how do they breathe this soup? The clouds parted, revealing the landing coordinates designated as New Auckland. The team had expected to see a barren wasteland dotted with primitive shelters, the best any life form could manage on such a hostile world. Instead, their view screen displayed a sprawling metropolis of gleaming towers, verdant parks, and bustling transportation networks. There must be some mistake, whispered Security Chief Bruxon, his voice hoarse. No species could build this on a Class 15. The ship landed with a gentle thud on a designated platform, where a small group of humans waited. Through the view screen, the diplomatic team observed these impossible creatures with mounting disbelief. They stood upright on 2 legs, wore minimal protective gear, just thin fabric coverings, and appeared to be laughing. Final systems check, Quillax ordered, his voice steadier than he felt. Gravity compensators at maximum. Toxin filters engaged. Predator deterrents activated. One by one, the team filed down the ramp in their bulky XJ-15 survival suits, moving awkwardly like oversized parade balloons. The humans' expressions shifted from welcoming smiles to barely contained amusement. A tall, red-haired human stepped forward. Welcome to Earth. I'm Mayor Astrid Morgan of New Auckland. We're absolutely thrilled to make first contact with galactic neighbors. Her voice came through their translators with unexpected clarity. Quillax attempted a formal bow, but the suit's rigid structure only allowed for a slight forward tilt. Admiral Quillax of the Galactic Council Diplomatic Corps. We come in peace and curiosity. Mayor Morgan's eyes sparkled with undisguised mirth. Those are quite the outfits you've got there. Are they comfortable? Science Officer Larka had already activated her scanners, and her shocked voice came through the team's private comm channel. "Admiral, the readings, they're impossible. The humans are standing in 9.8 ms2 gravity, breathing unfiltered atmosphere, exposed to solar radiation, with no apparent distress." "Is everything okay with your friend there?" asked another human, a dark-skinned man with a nameplate reading Dr. Jackson Wheeler, Xenobiology. "She seems to be having some trouble with her equipment." "We're adjusting to your environment," Quillax managed, even as a notification in his helmet informed him that the external temperature was a scorching 22 degrees Celsius, well within his species' survival range, without any protection. "Oh," Mayor Morgan said with sudden understanding. "Did you need different atmospheric conditions? We prepared specialized chambers if you have different breathing requirements." As if to demonstrate how unnecessary such precautions were, a small flying creature, what the humans would call a sparrow, landed on the mayor's shoulder, chirped cheerfully, and flew away. "Perhaps," Quillax said slowly, dignity crumbling by the second, "our intelligence on Earth's conditions was somewhat overstated." Communication specialist Tipic's voice crackled through the private channel. "Admiral, I'm getting notification that our suit's cooling systems are beginning to overheat from completely normal ambient conditions." Security Chief Bruxon, the most physically imposing of their team, toppled over with a crash as his suit's gravity compensators overloaded from trying to counter a gravitational pull that his body could actually handle quite easily. Dr. Wheeler rushed forward. "Are you folks all right in those things? They look awfully cumbersome. Would you be more comfortable without them?" Quillax had never before wished for his exoskeleton to be capable of blushing, but this seemed like the appropriate time to develop such an ability. "Yes," he finally admitted. "I believe we would. And now, to celebrate this historic occasion, we've prepared a special dinner featuring Earth's finest cuisine," Mayor Morgan announced, gesturing toward an elegantly set banquet table on the hotel rooftop terrace. Admiral Quillax and his team had reluctantly shed their environmental suits after comprehensive scans confirmed the shocking truth. Earth's supposedly lethal environment was actually within tolerable parameters for most of their physiologies. Still, they remained wary as they approached the dining area, each mentally calculating escape routes. "We've researched your species' dietary requirements," Dr. Wheeler explained, "and prepared appropriate options for each of you. But we also included some human favorites, should anyone feel adventurous." Science Officer Lorca's eyes widened as servers brought out steaming platters. "You prepare your sustenance using thermal radiation, deliberately denaturing the proteins?" "We call it cooking," laughed a woman who had introduced herself as Professor Naomi Takahashi. "Makes things taste better and kills harmful bacteria." "You have to kill the bacteria in your food," gasped communications specialist Tipic. "Your planet is so hostile, even your nourishment tries to eliminate you." The humans exchanged amused glances. "Something like that," Mayor Morgan replied with a smile. "Now, who would like to try some wine?" The diplomatic team watched in horror as their hosts poured dark liquid into crystal glasses. "That's alcohol, isn't it?" asked cultural anthropologist Neva, her voice dropping to a whisper. "A neurotoxin?" "Yes, a rather nice Pinot Noir," Dr. Wheeler confirmed cheerfully, taking a large sip. "Aged 15 years. "You intentionally age your toxins?" Security Chief Bruxon looked positively ill. Mayor Morgan raised her glass. "To new friendships across the stars." The humans clinked their glasses together and drank what should have been, by galactic standards, a fatal dose of poison. None of them collapsed or showed any signs of distress. Instead, they began heaping their plates with food items that made the aliens' sensory organs recoil. "What is that?" Quillax couldn't stop himself from asking as Dr. Wheeler enthusiastically doused something called tacos with a bright red sauce. "Ghost pepper hot sauce," Dr. Wheeler answered. "Want to try some? It's got quite a kick." "The chemical compound in that sauce is capsaicin," Lorca whispered urgently. "It's a defense mechanism evolved by Earth plants to prevent consumption." It causes burning pain on contact. And you eat this for pleasure? Asked Neva incredulously. Absolutely. Nothing better than a good burn, Professor Takahashi said, adding even more sauce to her plate. Though I should warn you, humans have different tolerances. Mine is quite high. As if this weren't enough, servers brought out beverages containing concentrated caffeine, a cardiac stimulant that would send most galactic species into fatal arrhythmias. This is how you conclude your nutritional intake. With cardiac accelerants? Larka couldn't contain her scientific fascination, despite her horror. Oh, this is nothing, laughed Mayor Morgan. Some of us drink coffee that's a much stronger caffeine source all day long. Keeps us going. The conversation turned to Earth's other mild inconveniences, as the humans termed them. So you're saying you're concerned about our gravity? Professor Takahashi asked, clearly fighting back laughter. We actually have recreational activities specifically designed to experience even stronger G-forces. She displayed a hologram of something called a roller coaster, where humans willingly strapped themselves into devices that hurled them at high speeds through complex paths, experiencing forces that would liquefy most alien internal organs. And this bungee jumping. Quillax could barely form the words as he watched humans leaping from towering structures with only elastic cords preventing their demise. Oh, that's just the start, Dr. Wheeler grinned, pulling up more images. This is my daughter's skydiving graduation. And here's my weekend whitewater rafting trip. That's when we navigate small boats through turbulent water currents. And this was last winter's extreme mountain climbing expedition during a blizzard. The alien delegation stared in stunned silence at these recreational activities, each one featuring conditions that would warrant immediate evacuation protocols on any civilized world. Security Chief Bruxon finally broke the silence. Your species deliberately seeks out danger for entertainment? Well, yeah, Mayor Morgan shrugged, taking another sip of her neurotoxin. Otherwise life gets boring, doesn't it? Their cellular structure shouldn't be possible, Science Officer Larka muttered, adjusting the settings on her scanner for the 12th time. She'd been granted access to New Auckland's medical research facility and had spent the last 8 hours examining human biological samples with growing disbelief. Dr. Marina Patel, the facility's lead researcher, watched with amusement. Finding anything interesting? Everything is interesting, Larka exclaimed, all 4 of her eyes wide with scientific excitement. Your DNA repair mechanisms alone should be classified as supernatural. The radiation levels on this planet should cause catastrophic mutation rates, yet you've evolved damage control systems unlike anything in our databases. Dr. Patel shrugged. We're pretty hardy, I guess. Hardy? Hardy? Larka's voice reached a pitch that made the laboratory glassware vibrate. Your bones should shatter under this gravity. Your lungs should collapse from these atmospheric pressures. Your neural tissues should be fried by your planet's magnetic field fluctuations. Yet not only do you survive, you thrive. Meanwhile, across the city, Admiral Quillax and cultural anthropologist Neva were touring the New Auckland Historical Museum, their horror mounting with each exhibit. You're telling me, Quillax said slowly, staring at a World War II display, that your species has nearly annihilated itself multiple times through self-inflicted conflicts, and yet you've continued to advance technologically? Museum curator Blake Thompson nodded enthusiastically. Human history is essentially a sequence of catastrophes we've somehow muddled through. Wars, plagues, climate disasters, asteroid impacts, you name it. We've survived it. But why? Neva asked, genuinely perplexed. Most species develop cooperative pacifism as they advance. You seem to have developed competitive resilience. What? Necessity is the mother of invention, Thompson replied with a grin. Nothing motivates human innovation like a good crisis. The curator led them to an exhibit on extreme sports and exploration. This might help explain our psychological makeup. Humans have always been explorers, pushing boundaries even when it wasn't necessary for survival. The display showed humans climbing Earth's tallest mountains without oxygen, diving into ocean trenches with crushing pressures, crossing scorching deserts on foot, and even leaving their planet in primitive spacecraft with failure rates that would make any galactic safety inspector faint. You did all this voluntarily? Quillax couldn't keep the disbelief from his voice. Of course. It's fun. Thompson laughed. There's nothing like testing your limits to make you feel alive. Back at the research facility, Larka had moved on to examining human digestive systems. You can consume almost anything, she marveled. Most species can process maybe a dozen or so molecular structures for nutrition. You can digest thousands of different compounds, and the toxins you've evolved to enjoy caffeine, alcohol, capsaicin would kill most sentient beings instantly. Well, too much will still kill us, Dr. Patel pointed out reasonably. Yes, but your definition of too much is Larka struggled for words. Impressive, suggested Dr. Patel with a smile. Terrifying, Larka corrected. She pulled up the data on her tablet. According to these genetic markers, your species evolved on a part of Earth that was even more dangerous than the current average. You're literally the descendants of those who survived the unsurvivable. Dr. Patel considered this. I suppose that explains our stubborn streak. Admiral Quillax's voice came through on Larka's communicator. Please tell me you found some weakness in these creatures. Larka glanced at Dr. Patel, who was casually drinking her 5th cup of coffee, a dose that would stop a Zolaxian heart instantly. No, Admiral, she replied quietly. I believe we've discovered the most adaptable species in the galaxy. The diplomatic reception on the 35th floor of New Auckland's government tower was proceeding smoothly. Admiral Quillax had just finished delivering a carefully worded speech about mutual cooperation between resilient civilizations when the first tremor hit. It was subtle at first, just a slight vibration in the floor that made the liquid in their glasses ripple. Science officer Larka immediately checked her instruments. Seismic activity, she reported, her voice rising in alarm. Magnitude 5.2 and building. The humans in the room exchanged glances, but continued their conversations. Mayor Morgan stepped to a console on the wall and checked some readings, but didn't seem particularly concerned. Then came the second tremor, much stronger. The building swayed noticeably. Artwork crashed from the walls. Glasses shattered on the floor. We're all going to die, screamed communications specialist Tippik, diving under a table. The planet is trying to kill us. The rest of the alien delegation wasn't far behind in their panic. Security Chief Bruxon was already shouting evacuation orders into his communicator. Cultural anthropologist Neva had curled into a fetal position, her species' natural response to extreme danger. Everyone remained calm, Mayor Morgan announced, her voice steady despite the continuing tremors. This is a standard tectonic adjustment. The building is designed to withstand forces much greater than this. Standard? Shrieked Admiral Quillax. Your planet randomly tries to tear itself apart, and you consider this standard? As if in answer, a third, massive tremor struck. The lights flickered and went out. Emergency illumination bathed the room in an eerie blue glow. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, they could see parts of the city going dark. Magnitude 7.8, Dr. Wheeler announced, looking at his personal device. Epicenter about 30 kilometers offshore. Tsunami warning issued. Did he say tsunami? Gasped Larka. As in, a massive wall of water about to obliterate us? Admiral, Bruxon reported breathlessly, our ship reports the seismic activity is interfering with stabilization systems. We need to launch within 10 minutes or risk being stranded. Quillax looked at his team's terrified faces, then at the strangely calm humans. We need to evacuate immediately. We can take a few of you with us. To his shock, Mayor Morgan actually laughed. That's very kind, Admiral, but completely unnecessary. Our emergency protocols are quite robust. As if on cue, the building's AI system activated. Attention. Earthquake emergency procedures in effect. Please proceed to designated safety areas. Tsunami warning for coastal regions. Estimated wave arrival, 18 minutes. The humans moved with practiced efficiency. Professor Takahashi was already distributing emergency kits from a wall compartment. Dr. Wheeler had activated a holographic map showing evacuation routes and safe zones. Mayor Morgan was coordinating with other government officials via her communication device. "Admiral, our shuttle is waiting," Bruxon urged, pulling at Quillax's arm. "We need to leave now." The building swayed again as aftershocks rippled through the region. Outside, despite the emergency, there was no mass panic. Citizens were calmly following evacuation procedures, moving to higher ground or into specially designated structures. "You go," Quillax told his security chief. "I'm staying to observe." "That's insane," Bruxon protested. "This whole place could be underwater in minutes." "Exactly," Quillax replied, watching as Professor Takahashi calmly handed emergency supplies to a trembling Larka. "And I want to see how they handle it." As the alien delegation argued about evacuation, Dr. Wheeler approached with emergency respiration devices. "Just in case we need to swim," he explained with a wink. "Though the building's tsunami barriers should deploy automatically." On cue, massive reinforced shields began rising outside the windows. Protective technology the humans apparently kept on standby for these routine planetary tantrums. "You live like this all the time?" Quillax asked, incredulous. Dr. Wheeler shrugged. "Earth keeps us on our toes. Makes life interesting." 3 days after what the humans casually referred to as a minor tectonic hiccup, Admiral Quillax stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council, his report causing as much seismic disturbance as the earthquake itself. In conclusion, he stated, facing the stunned representatives, "I recommend an immediate reclassification of planet Earth from Class 15 Deathworld to, well, I'm not exactly sure what to call it." He paused. "Perhaps we need an entirely new classification system." High Counselor Vasmir leaned forward. "Please explain, Admiral. Your preliminary reports defy comprehension." "The humans don't merely survive their planet's hostility," Quillax explained. "They are symbiotically enhanced by it. The constant environmental challenges have driven their evolution toward adaptability rather than specialization. Their bodies can withstand conditions that would kill most of us instantly. Their minds are wired to see danger as entertaining." Science Officer Larka, still visibly excited from her research, jumped in. "Their biological resilience is unprecedented. They can repair radiation damage at the cellular level. They can digest compounds that would be fatal toxins to us. Their skeletal structure absorbs impacts that would shatter our bones. And their reproductive system." She paused, lowering her voice, "involves voluntary internal parasitism that somehow doesn't kill the host." Cultural anthropologist Neva added, "Their society is equally adapted. When natural disasters strike, they don't abandon their settlements, they rebuild, stronger than before. Their entire history is a cycle of catastrophe and innovation. The more adversity they face, the more they advance." Murmurs rippled through the council chamber. "Are you suggesting," asked Counselor Tekla, her feathers still partially flattened in fear, "that these humans are actually benefiting from conditions that would exterminate other species?" "Precisely," confirmed Quillax. "And here's the most disturbing part: they're getting bored. Their planet isn't challenging them enough anymore." He activated a holographic display showing human space exploration efforts. "They're already planning interplanetary colonization, starting with a planet they call Mars, a frozen desert with almost no atmosphere that they consider a bit chilly but manageable with a light jacket." The council chamber erupted in horrified exclamations. "We must contain them," shouted one representative. "Impossible," countered Quillax. "Any environment hostile enough to stop humans would be far too dangerous for us to create or maintain. Besides," he added with a flicker of admiration, "I believe they could become our most valuable allies." "Allies?" Several counselors chorused in disbelief. "Consider the possibilities," Quillax urged. In planets we've written off as uninhabitable could be colonized by humans. Cosmic disasters that threaten our worlds could be managed with their help. They've developed technologies specifically designed to counter planetary hazards that most species never even experience. The council chambers fell silent as the implications sank in. 2 standard months later, Admiral Quillax found himself back on Earth, this time without an environmental suit, sitting in Mayor Morgan's office as she reviewed the Galactic Council's official treaty proposal. "So let me get this straight," she said, eyes twinkling with amusement. "You want us to help establish colonies on planets you consider too dangerous for habitation, assist with disaster management across the galaxy, and provide training for your emergency response teams?" "That's correct," Quillax confirmed. "In exchange for technology sharing, of course." "Sounds reasonable," Mayor Morgan nodded. "Though I should mention that Dr. Wheeler and Professor Takahashi have another proposal they're quite excited about." Right on cue, the 2 scientists burst into the office with digital presentations ready. "Extreme adventure tourism," Dr. Wheeler announced enthusiastically. "We've already drafted plans for guided excursions showcasing Earth's unique features." Professor Takahashi clicked through images of humans engaged in various death-defying activities. "We can offer scaled experiences for different species tolerance levels. Whitewater rafting, bungee jumping, volcano hiking, hurricane sailing." "We'll start with mild experiences," Dr. Wheeler assured a horrified-looking Quillax. "Just light roller coasters and mild coffee tastings for beginners." "And for the truly adventurous," Professor Takahashi added with a grin, "we've designed the full Earth experience package a week of what we consider perfectly normal conditions with minimal safety equipment." Mayor Morgan chuckled at Quillax's expression. "Don't worry, Admiral. We'll include comprehensive medical support and plenty of waiver forms." Quillax shook his head in bewilderment. "You know, when we first discovered your planet, we thought you must be the most terrifying species in the galaxy." "And now?" Mayor Morgan asked. "Now I'm certain of it," Quillax replied, reluctantly accepting a cup of what the humans called mild coffee. "But in the best possible way." Dr. Wheeler raised his own cup in a toast to the galaxy's greatest mistake in classification. "And to finding friends in unlikely places," added Mayor Morgan. As the humans clinked their cups together in celebration, Quillax couldn't help but wonder how many other supposedly unsurvivable worlds might harbor equally surprising inhabitants. The galaxy, it seemed, was far more resilient than anyone had imagined except, perhaps, the humans themselves.